Welcome to Hockey Nights in Vegas, the report card edition. My name is Eddie Rivkin. I'm joined as always by Joe Pane of the Las Vegas Advisor. We are 14 games into the season, but before that, who dressed you, pal? We're what is this? Twins United.
Just so everyone knows, we didn't talk about what we were going to wear before. This is totally random.
This was not a plan. So let's now that's covered.
2 red hoodies on, ready to go.
All right.
Ready to go.
Just like when we were in school, where we're going to put out the report card for the Golden Knights first 14 games of the year, 10-3-1, 21 points out of a possible 28. It's hard to argue with that, but we're going to break the Golden Knights team down by 7 categories. Joe, start out with the offense. How are the Golden Knights doing so far?
Are we doing an A, B, C, D, E, F kind of thing?
Yeah, like the report card. You went to school.
Okay, all right. Well, there's certain report cards that are passed and failed too.
A, B, C, D, E. How's the offense?
C.
C.
Especially 5-on-5.
Okay, so that's it. They're just an average NHL team.
Right now, before we get to the goaltending category, the goaltending has been saving their ass.
I'm not talking about. We're talking about the offense.
I know. That's why I gave them a C.
That's it. That's all you got. There's a C.
C. They need more scoring throughout the first 4 lines, and they're not getting that. If it wasn't for Pacioretty and Stone and Stevenson, the scoring is just not there. I think we got spoiled the first year when they just scored at will. I mean, you can just bet the over on every Vegas Golden Knight game. Now that's not the case. They're involved in 1-0, 3-2 games, 2-1 games. So no, I'm not happy with their offense right now. Past the first line.
All right, I'm gonna give them a B. I'm gonna say that certainly the first line is definitely carrying them between Stone and Pacioretty, and Stevenson is going to turn out like we had talked about briefly last year. He's going to be the best 5th round trade for a 5th round pick in the history of the NHL. So that line is above reproach. Marchessault is starting to put the puck in the net a little bit more. He's still racking up assists at a career rate, which is pretty good. Riley Smith starting a little bit slow, but their game will round into form.
Smith is impressive. Smith is impressive on the penalty kill.
Right. I mean, listen, Carlson had 43 goals in a shooting percentage, 23% in the first year. He regressed. He's probably, I hate to say this, he's probably not a first line center, right? Maybe he's a 2C. I think that the third line, when the Golden Knights get healthy and the line sort of settles in where it's going to be Glass, Watt, and Tuck, I think that they're going to start to put up some real points, because Watt and Tuck can skate. And we're starting to see Cody Glass start to play more of a big boy, big man's hockey game. And he is a legitimate playmaker. You can see that more on the power play than on 5-on-5 right now. But you can see his vision on the ice, and you can start to see him making big man plays on the ice. When those guys get a whole bunch more minutes, I think they're going to be something that's going to cause a lot of problems for other teams' third lines. The fourth line, it's a disappointment, so far,
except for Carrier.
But Carrier hasn't scored a goal in 20 games. He's played well.
But he placed all 200 feet of the ice
without question. But Reeves said something earlier, really early in the year, where he said, you know what, we're not chasing the hits as much, but you know what, they're not nearly as effective as they were. Last year.
Their toolbox or their tool belt needs to have hits involved in it.
Yeah,
it demoralizes the other team.
Yeah, I mean last year
sets them up for.
last year Pete DeBoer started them every period, every game, after every goal. That's out the window now, and it's because they're underperforming.
Yeah.
And I don't listen. At 1.75 million, Revo's got to start producing something. He's got to start affecting the game somehow, right? I think he's got one assist, and that was in the very first game with that between the legs pass. They've got to get moving. So you've got to see, I've got to be. How about the defense? How about a team? How about as a team defensively? What do you got?
B plus.
B plus. Tell me
B
why they're a
plus.
B plus defensive club.
Well, because of the emergence of White Cloud, the addition of Pietrangelo, Martinez and Pietrangelo are a dynamic duo together, and Shea Theodore adds an element to the offensive side of their defensive game. And DeBoer likes his defensemen engaging in the play and pinching it and all that. McNabb is the one that probably prevents me giving the team an A defensive grade, because McNabb has had a horrible, well, he's missed the last 3 or 4 games, 5 games actually, I think. But prior to that, I mean, he just was having a bad season so far. And that, I think McNabb is the reason why the defense, in my opinion, I couldn't give them an A. I had to give them a B only because of McNabb's performance, which has been less than stellar the first quarter of the season.
You said B plus. I'm gonna say B minus.
Okay.
On the offensive side of the puck, the emergence of Zach Whitecloud's offensive game, I think, was a huge surprise. Everybody said he's going to be a stalwart on D. Nobody saw the upside of his offense game emerging. Nick Hague is showing he's making an ass out of me every game. As bad as I badmouthed the kid all last year, he's making me eat a big shit sandwich. Right? It's terrible. And Shea Theodore he will win a Norris Trophy for sure. And Pietrangelo, he's had 10 games in a new system after playing 13 years in St. Louis. So on that side of the puck, I think they're doing better than they expected. On the other side of the puck, I still think that there are serious concerns. They have horrible lapses in the defensive zone. They still make terrible turnovers. Their breakouts,
their
breakouts are just not up to what you would expect from a really well-disciplined, really well-coached Pete DeBoer team. And we're getting to the point when they get healthy again and they get paired up right, Pietrangelo, McNabb, Martinez, Theodore, we assume it will be Holden and Whitecloud back, will be the regular 6. They've had some playing time together. They should be knowing each other's feel and spacing, but right now there are just these lapses in the game where they just, I'm thinking of the third goal that Leonard led up in his last start, where the guy skated down the slot like he was on a parade. I mean, there was literally nobody there.
And keep in mind that I gave them a B plus with 3 kids out of 6 on the back end.
For sure. And that's what the 3 kids play is what's saving them from it being a C, D, or a total flunk.
It wouldn't be a D, and we would be unfair if we gave them a C. I gave them a B plus, and the B plus is because half the defensive core are pretty much kids who are just eligible to vote recently. I mean, that's how young these kids are.
So they still can't have a cocktail.
Yeah, some of them can't even go to a bar yet.
Right.
Yeah. So
their D zone still needs a lot of work, but their offense, when they get humming, their offense is going to be a nightmare because they got a lot of big shots on the point now, right? And everybody said Coughlin's got the hardest shot on the franchise. all the way through, right? So the kid's had 5 games in the league, and I'm sitting there like, kid, shoot the fucking puck. No, nothing but wrist shots. All I get is wrist shots from the kid. He's back with the Silver Knights. Maybe I'll buy the AHL package. I want to see this kid unload a bomb from the point. Okay, B plus from Joe, B minus for me, but there's a lot of upside, and I think there's going to be drastic improvement as the season goes on. The power play. What do you got?
I'm going to be generous here and give them a C.
Let me give you a stat before. Okay, you give them a C. I'm going to give you the stat. 17th in the NHL right now at 20%.
I'm giving them a C, and I'm giving them a C, and I'm being nice to them because this is one thing that just drives me insane is their entry into the zone on the power play. It just, they're either trying to skate it through or they're dumping. I mean, it just, I don't know. I guess I got spoiled watching that power play the first couple of seasons where they were a machine.
But haven't we been talking about this for 2 years?
What's that?
Haven't we been talking about the zone entry for 2 years? We were talking about it with Nate Schmidt for all of last year.
Yeah, right? but this year, it's and maybe because we're supposed to have basically two of the top defensemen in the league, both running the power play basically with Shea Theodore and Pietrangelo. You would think that the zone entry would be a lot better than it has been. And it's just, I sit in the press box, I'm high up, and I watch the play develop, and then I watch it as we get to the red line, it just starts to fall apart. And next thing you know, it's headed back the other way, and Fleury's stopping it and putting it behind in the trapezoid for them to start another rush up that most of the time never successfully gets. And if it gets into the zone, it's back out quickly. You know what I mean? There's no rhythm to their power play right now. They scored 3 power play goals in a row in a 3-game span, and they scored 3 in one game, and then the next game it was back to being, I don't want to say horrible, but disappointing.
Well, they had, and that's why I give it. They had 3 and 4 games, 5 and 7 games. Then they had 3 in a game against San Jose, who was 28th or something in the league on the power play.
Yeah,
then
but you can't even.
Right, but then they went 0 for 3 against Colorado, who was number 1 in the league in penalty kill. But the thing about the zone entry,
95% Colorado. Yeah.
Right. But they had a little bit harder of an opening schedule than the Golden Knights had. So that counts as something too. The zone entry thing is just frustrating. It seems like as they move forward that they are unable to push the penalty killers back. And normally the thing that pushes the penalty killers back on a zone entry is what? Speed. Right? Speed through the neutral zone is what drives the defense back and allows you to set up the power play. Now, Chandler Stevenson, Riley Smith, Shea Theodore, there's a lot of guys that can skate the puck. I don't understand why they don't, how the zone entry continues to be the most frustrating part of the Golden Knights power play. Now, has it shown some flashes of brilliance? Absolutely. Is Max Pacioretty an absolute sniper from the wall?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely absurd.
The shot's incredible.
Cody Glass now, grown-ass man in front of the net, right? He's getting some greasy goals, and he's also doing a little bit of playmaking from in front of the net. Mark Stone being a playmaker from the opposite wall of Pacioretty. They're starting to sort of find their groove. Will it get better? I think that it will. But they've got to get more zone time, and they've got to get the puck. They've got to get it settled down and get the puck moving.
But there have been times on the power play this season that their passes around the box, so to speak, when the 4 defensemen set up, the penalty killers on the opposing team set up either in a box or if it's a 5-on-3, they go in sort of like a pyramid kind of thing. But their passes have been really precise and crisp. But all they do is they just go from Stone back out to the point, across to the point, back to Pacioretty, and the passes are really good, but they don't put any shots on the net. They just have these precise passes going back and forth, but shoot the puck on the net.
I think that changed in the last couple of games. I think that there's been a little. I think somebody said, "Okay, kids, it's enough of being pretty.
Right.
It's time to shoot the puck more." And you notice that there's the. I think they like the thought of a pretty tap-in goal, but now I think I noticed it a little bit more. I mean, both of Pacioretty's goals were from a little bit outside of the dot, right, high short side. And
He's deadly. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, no chance. I'm not going to say Ovi deadly, but he's pretty deadly from that opposite point shot, from that opposite point. I think I expect to see a lot more shot first, greasy in the front. Let's muck it up and get goals.
The difference here is the fact that you brought up Ovechkin. When Ovechkin takes his patented slap shot from the left wing circle, Pacioretty's on the opposite side, but he's not really taking slap shots. His wrist shot is probably almost, I wouldn't say it's as fast as Ovechkin's slap shot, but it's accurate and deadly. So, you got two different styles. You got Ovechkin just powering his stick through the puck from the left wing faceoff circle, and you got Pacioretty sitting there like a trained Navy SEAL or actually U.S. Army sniper from the right wing faceoff circle. Two different styles, both effective, and it's amazing because you would think that the Ovechkin shot would be harder to stop, but the Ovechkin shot sometimes doesn't get on net. He just pretty much winds up and fires away. Where Pacioretty's very accurate. I mean, and here's I think where they've made the adjustment. They now have glass coming in from behind the net and bringing puck out into the blue paint, into the really dirty areas. And they caused the goal the other night when he did that. So that's an adjustment they've made, because prior to that, they were just setting up from the perimeters and trying to beat the goaltender. And at this level of hockey, if a goaltender can see a shot, he's pretty much going to be able to stop it. Well, if it's not tipped,
Well, that change forces the defenders lower. When the puck goes down into the bottom part of the umbrella where glass is, that forces the bottom two defenders lower. So it brings the whole it moves the whole PK down lower toward the goal line, which brings everybody on the power play a little bit closer to the net. It brings Pacioretty and Stone. It brings the umbrella in from the wings and gives better angles down toward the net. So they're squeezing in on the power play, on the PK unit. So you gave it a C.
Here's another thing.
I'm gonna give them a B minus just because I see some potential.
Okay,
I see more potential.
Something I just saw that made me kind of think of something. When you went like this, for you guys that are watching right now, we would really, really appreciate if you would hit the subscribe button to this, and it kind of lets us know that you like what you hear and you like what you see. So do us a favor, hit that subscribe button. It costs nothing. Just hit it, and we'll be real happy about that. And we'll bring you good hockey content for the remainder of the season, hopefully sometime into July.
And matching hoodies.
And matching hoodies.
Category number 4, penalty kill. I'll give you the stat. 4th in the NHL, 85%. What do you got?
I already had an A for their penalty kill. I think their penalty kill is
This is the shortest topic.
This is like an easy grade. This is like, this is like you already know you have an honor student in the class and he's getting an A.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of is he getting perfect attendance, besides the A, the upper. And they had, what do they have? Like they have 2 or 3 shorthanded goals already?
They got a couple of shorties. They're deadly. Yeah. They've got Alex Tuck killing some penalties right now. If the power play against them makes any mistake, there's going to be a 2-on-1 against them. We've already seen it a bunch of times with Chandler Stevenson. We're going to see it with Alex Tuck. We're going to see it with Riley Smith and William Karlsson. There was a couple of little lapses where they've given up some goals. some of those may have been goaltender type issues, but yeah, the of everything about the Golden Knights right now, the PK is absolutely the thing that I'm the least worried about. We agree it's a couple of A's. We're going to move on to the contentious part of the conversation, the goaltending. I'm going to tell you that right now, the Golden Knights are second in the NHL with a goals against average of 2.14, and Marc-Andre Fleury is leading the NHL in goals against average with 1.58, and that's of qualified goaltenders. There's a couple with 2 starts, that don't count for shit. So they're second in the NHL in goals against average. But for the team, for the Golden Knights, what's their goaltending grade, Joe?
B. And it's only a B. It should be an A, but the fact that Robin has gotten off to I would say, I'm sure he's disappointed himself. His grade is like a C, and Fleury's grade is an A. So when you put them together, it comes out to be a B, and that's what I'm going to give the goaltending average is a B. But if it was just on Fleury gets an A plus, and Robin's getting a C, maybe even a C minus at this point, which leads me, since you're asking me to combine both goaltenders together,
I am.
It comes out to be a B.
So you took the cop out. You just went for the A plus C equals B, and
no,
you just took the regular.
Eddie, you know me. I speak my mind. There's nothing I cop out to,
Okay, here's what all right. Okay, fine. Here's what I'll do. Fleury's an A plus, Panda's a C minus. I'm gonna give him a B plus.
Oh, okay. All right.
And I'm gonna say that I think Leonard is absolutely disappointed in himself. I would virtually guarantee it. He's spent 2 years lobbying for the big contract.
He got it.
He got the big contract. He's had a couple of clearly subpar starts. We don't have enough time in the day to go over, is Fleury stealing the net? Is he not stealing the net? Nobody knows what's going on with Leonard's injury status. So we're gonna just leave it as right now. Fleury has saved the Golden Knights first quarter of the season, and and his value continues to rise, and perhaps his trade stock continues to rise if Leonard were to make a stellar comeback. But so they're somewhere in the B plus. And if Robin Leonard comes back and becomes the Robin Leonard that they signed to a 5-year, $25 million deal, that grade, when we get to the halfway point, should easily gravitate to an A. I think we would both agree.
And what's funny about it is that prior to the season starting and literally after they left the Edmonton bubble, they were talking like, who is going to take Fleury off the hands of the Vegas Golden Knights at $7 million plus? And now we watch him now through the first quarter of the season, basically. Now there is like, how many teams want him right now?
Pittsburgh.
There are teams that who are scoring goals but giving up a lot of goals that would probably give their firstborn son to McCrimmon and McPhee for Fleury right now. And from what I hear,
look at the North Division. Every game is 7-5.
I know,
right?
Does Fleury really want to go to that division, though?
Yeah. Who knows? Okay, so we've been through the offense, been through the defense, been through the power play, the penalty kill, the goaltenders. Let's talk about the coaching. How's the coaching How do you think the coaches have fared in the first 14 games?
And I'm going to go back beyond the first 14 games. There was a lot of grief when DeBoer was hired almost 13 months ago. And, basically because of where he came from. But what he's done with this team, you can't help but give this guy an A grade. I mean, I understand he was the San Jose Shark coach. I understand you hate anything that's teal, okay? But Eddie's rolling his eyes. But
no, I'm just no. You're absolutely right, and it's absolute horseshit.
Yeah, and just you and I have been doing this hockey thing for many, many years, and we know how to handle the speed bump, so to speak. The fan base here, and I love the fans. The Vegas Golden Knights fans are so passionate about their team, but to
Yes.
a point of where they just can't fathom that the
Right.
team doesn't win every night, and that
Right.
Fleury doesn't throw a shutout every night, and if Robin Leonard gives up 2 goals, they're screaming, or gives up 3.
Trade.
Yeah, I know. Man, you should have been a Ranger fan for 40 years, like I have been, and then you know what
Wait.
heartache is like. It's like funny. It's like the Vegas Golden Knights literally could have gone to the Western Conference Final 3 of their first 3 seasons.
Not good enough.
And it's not good enough.
No, not good enough.
And I started to write an article about the teams who have not won a Stanley Cup and teams who have not even made it to the Stanley Cup Finals.
Yeah.
And the list is just, it's
staggering.
like a grocery. Yeah. And it's funny because the fans of Las Vegas were spoiled by the 2017-2018 season. They just thought, oh, we can do this every year. And they only were able to do it because McPhee and the scouting staff did an unbelievable job of not only, as you say, stealing everybody's lunch, but they picked character players.
Yeah.
They picked guys that, they
Lunch pail
weren't
guys.
superstars.
Lunch pail guys.
What's that?
Lunch pail guys.
Yeah, lunch pail guys. Yeah, guys who just lug their pail to and show up when the horn sounds, eat their lunch, go back to work, and work right to the stroke of 5, and then go home and back the next day. Where they're the first year, and I happened to have the privilege of covering the team the first year, there were no prima donnas. I mean, I've been in other teams' locker rooms where there's prima donnas. There's cliques. There's certain cliques on teams. There's these 3-4 guys who only hang out together, and these 3-4 guys only hang out together. The Vegas Golden Knights, you see them when they go out as a team. They go to a steak restaurant, I think it's called Aviamo down at the D.
Yeah.
Yes, the whole team is together. You never see that with another team. Maybe on the road, the team goes out together on the road because they don't have any choice.
Right.
But when they're here in Las Vegas, they move as a unit. They move as a unit on the ice, and they move as a unit off the ice. So there's no prima donnas on this team. And I think this whole town got spoiled because we got lucky. We got lucky that we basically hoodwinked everybody during the draft. We shocked everybody with our speed. I think Gallant did a great job in utilizing the stretch pass, which took them forever to adjust to. And then we also had, and you came up with this, I have to give you credit. You come up with the Vegas flu
5
probably
games
2
in.
games into
Yeah.
the 17. Yeah, you said you really said there is a Vegas flu going on here. These teams are coming into town. When you fly into Toronto, you fly into Winnipeg, Edmonton, there is nothing to do. You fly into Vegas, there's more distractions than you can shake a stick at. And these teams were, and I think someone in the Washington Capitals, they made the adjustment because the first year that they came here during the regular season, they partied their asses off, and it showed the game that they played. And they realized when they got here for the finals, they had to lock themselves into the hotel rooms, which they did. And they made that adjustment. And unfortunately for the Vegas Golden Knights, they only won 1 game out of the 5. So, the first year, the whole town got spoiled. As far as the teams coming in here, it was a regular, they're playing 82 games. They're coming in for 1 game in Vegas. Hey, let's go out and have a good time, And when they showed up the following night for the game, I don't want to say they were hungover, but they may not have had as fresh as legs as they should have had. They weren't laying in bed with their legs elevated on the pillow. Their legs were elevated at the blackjack table, maybe, or at the stripper pole.
I'm gonna say, I think the stat was, I'm probably gonna mess it up. Since Pete DeBoer's here, I'm gonna say 23, 8-3 maybe.
He hasn't lost 2 games in a row.
Hasn't lost 2 games in regulation in a row, and the second most points since he took over January 15th of last year. I'm gonna say that the coaching staff is definitely going to get an A, and I'm going to say that the unsung hero. Which Ryan coaches the D? It's McGill, right?
He's the D. Yes.
Right. It's going to be Ryan McGill for the incredible amount of juggling that he's had to do, having no idea which 6 guys or 5 guys, as we've saw.
5 guys. When he was doing the 5, that's
right.
That's where he should get all the credit for.
Right.
When he kept that rotation
right.
smooth as it could possibly be with 13 forwards and 5 defensemen.
So for the job that he did through the first 14 games with 5D or 6D or not knowing which D was going to dress, or the Alex Pietrangelo COVID surprise, or the 3 rookies, one of which had played 0 NHL games. He's the unsung reason that the Golden Knights made it to 10-3-1 and are, right where they need to be in the standings. They've got games in hand. They're entering a real difficult stretch. The second quarter of the schedule will certainly not be as comfortable as the first quarter was, but certainly banking 21 out of 28 points will fare very well from them as other teams race to catch up. So
yeah,
that we have.
Well, the first 12, when you talked about their schedule, their first 12 of the 14 games, minus the 2 that they actually won against St. Louis, one got canceled. They were playing teams that were somewhat inferior to them.
Right.
So they had a little bit of a soft schedule, so to speak.
Yeah,
this 4-game set. Game set against Colorado is important, and it hurt giving up that goal with 40 seconds left to go, because they could have only lost 1 point. Even if they got it to overtime, it's only a 1-point game. The fact that Colorado scored, Cadre scored with 40 seconds left to go, that hurt because that made it a 4-point game, and it kind of washed out the victory the previous night, not the previous night, but the 2 nights ago when Fleury just was stellar and threw a shutout. So.
Okay, so we've gone all the way through. So 10-3-1, first place in the division, 21 out of a possible 28 points, but throw out all of that out the window. Overall, based on what you thought the Golden Knights were going to be this season, what's the grade for the Golden Knights through the first quarter of the season?
You're probably going to be shocked by this grade, but I'm giving this grade only because I'm taking into account that they had a soft schedule out of the gate, so to speak. Let me give them a B-, and you would think, wow, they got 21 points out of a possible 28. You're only giving them a B-. I'm giving a B- because they played teams that they were supposed to beat up on, and they did, except for the 1 game in Arizona, and they did beat up on those teams. They gave away that goal the other night with 40 seconds to go against a team which they could have really put their foot on their neck by picking up 8 points in the first 2 games in the series. And the best Colorado could have done if Vegas held on was to try to win 2 in a row and pretty much break even. But now Colorado could get a leg up if they win Saturday and get into overtime on I think they play on Tuesday again, right? They have 2 more games with Colorado. So I know it's Saturday at the Lake, and I'm thinking the next game is Tuesday after that or Monday.
Okay. So a B. B-.
I'm giving
you said a B-.
B-.
I'm gonna give them a B, and I think it's a B simply because I think they played a little bit down to their opponents through most of the first part of the schedule. Yeah, they got the points. I'm not going to take into account the points. As good as they are, they should have. The games were, I think, harder than they could have or should have been. I think that the telltale games were the St. Louis game, which I think overall, I think the St. Louis game was the best all overall game that they played. It was a loss, but as far as effort and everything, it was the most competitive full game that they played. I think that the season started game one against Colorado. I think right now we know what we have. I think that we know that Colorado is a faster team for sure. I also think that we know that what the formula is to beat them. And I think that we're destined to see them in the playoffs, whether it's in the first round or the second round, but it's coming. And I think that, it's one of those things where you now are looking your enemy right in the face. And there's going to be no more there's no more warming up. There's going to be no more letdown nights. Uh, what happened in the previous game was an unfortunate thing. It was a bad bounce off the wall, not relevant. They got to go out, and it's time for the Golden Knights to be the Golden Knights that we expect them to be. There's certainly room for improvement on 5-on-5 play. There's room for improvement on D-zone coverages and breakouts. There's room for improvement certainly on zone entry on the power play, as we've discussed ad nauseum. We do need Robin Leonard to bounce back and be the true tandem in goal, which we're paying $12 million a year for. But here's where we are. 14 games in, you couldn't ask for them to be in a better position. The heavyweight championship fight is on. The haves are the haves. It is St. Louis. It is Colorado. It is the Vegas Golden Knights in the West. It could be Arizona. It could be Minnesota. But, the big three are going to be the big three in the West. And that's going to pretty much who battles it out, I think. There haven't been any real huge disappointments, I don't think. They're
Well,
in.
the only disappointment that I can think of is, and I'm just going to refer to something you just said when you said that this Colorado Vegas might be a first round matchup. If that happens, one of these teams is having a disappointing season, because that would mean one of them finished first and one of them finished fourth. Because I don't think they're going to finish 2-3. I think they're going to finish 1-2. So, which means that they wouldn't play each other in the first round. But if you say that we may face, that may be the first round matchup, then two of these teams had a disappointing season,
For
because
sure.
one of them is winning the Honda West division, and the only way Colorado plays Vegas or Vegas plays Colorado, if either one of them win the number one spot, is that the other team, either Colorado or Vegas, finishes fourth, which would mean a very disappointing finish for 56 game schedule.
Yeah, my point is that they're going to see each other in the playoffs. At some point, they're going to see each other. It could be that they finish 2-3. Maybe St. Louis goes on a run and beats everybody to death, and they finish 2-3. Maybe one of the teams loses a shit ton of games to COVID, and it doesn't become wins, losses, and points, and it becomes percentage, like it was at the end of last year. There's a couple of different ways. The point being that we've established now in the Honda West division who the haves are, and we've seen two very competitive games with different circumstances between the Golden Knights and the Avalanche. We still haven't seen both rosters healthy yet. And those games are going to be, if you're a hockey fan, must-see TV, and they're going to be wars. And I'm happy that the Golden Knights beat up the have-nots, and they got those extra points, because I got a feeling as it comes down to the stretch, it's going to be nice that they have them. So that's going to wrap up the report card. I'm going to stick out this hand and point down and say, hit your subscribe button if you like our matching hoodies. We'll probably go with navy blue next time or something like that.
Is that a hint? Is that a hint of what I should put on?
No. We're gonna come back probably after the second pair of games, so that'll be probably Wednesday. Lake Tahoe, Saturday, noontime puck drop, and then Tuesday night in Colorado. And then we'll be back with another episode of Hockey Nights in Vegas. Again, subscribe, hit the subscribe button. We're begging you. We need like 19 more so we can be official. Until then, thanks a lot. Have a great night.